Hello and welcome back to the channel. A lot of you guys know that I exclusively play the London system, and despite being 2000 plus rated across 3 time controls, I literally never learned any E4 theory. So today, I'm going to attempt to learn one E4 in 24 hours, and then try to win a game with E4. Let's dive in. Alright, we are on the ChessReps website, which is the sponsor of today's video. Obviously, there's a reason that I only play the London system, and that's because I've just never enjoyed sitting in front of a book and memorizing 200, 300 pages worth of theory. I enjoy the actual meat of what I guess some people would call real chess, but ChessReps has been a really fun way to learn openings. If you direct your attention over here, you'll notice that I did go back and learn the Jobava London, all 26 lines, and after watching an Eric Rosen video, I just couldn't help myself and I did learn the Stafford Gambit as well. But today, we're looking at the Ruy Lopez, which has 59 lines in total. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Bobby Fischer said E4 was best by test, so there's a lot of theory behind E4. In fact, it seems more than the Jobava and the Stafford Gambit combined. So let's dive into the Ruy Lopez. And the first step is to actually learn the Ruy Lopez, and then we'll look at some different ways that I can practice it. So I am going to fast forward through this, since this is me basically reading the blurb, playing out the moves, and getting my practice in. I will see you guys on the other side of a lot of E4 theory. Okay, so far, I kind of like it. It's kind of exciting. I've never given E4 a chance just because it's so much more theory than a lot of D4 openings, but this is pretty exciting. Also, here on the side, you can see some of the different things we'll do later on, which include obviously practicing the actual lines, but there's stuff like puzzles and arena where you play real games and you gain elo depending on how well you do in the opening. I also like that it starts with moving the 2 kingside pieces out of the way so you can set up castling immediately. There's some things that are appealing to me about this opening already. I'll see you guys in a bit. Sweet, and with this third line, we've actually unlocked a couple new different ways to practice, which includes drill and time. And I don't know if you can tell by this position, but this seems to be a very explosive opening, at least in certain lines. It's very, very dynamic. It develops a lot of pieces extremely quickly. And I think this is actually going to work pretty well with my game style because I am a London player, but I do look for a lot of like knight to e5, queen ideas, and I like to push my pawns right away. Playing aggressively is one of the reasons why I'm significantly higher rated in Bullet. So we'll see. I know I keep saying I'll see you guys in a bit, but now I'm actually going to sit down and learn all the rest of the lines. Okay, so I've just completed learning all of the 59 lines, and which just means I've explored them. It doesn't mean I've actually practiced them to a T. That's what I have to do next, but I have been exposed to all of 59 different lines, and I'm having a lot of thoughts right now. Obviously, this is very different from my London system. The whole point of me playing the London is to get my pieces developed as quickly as possible, and then play chess basically after that. Whereas here, we have a lot of very, very sharp lines, which is awesome and very, very exciting, but also require you to know them decently precisely if you want to be successful. But I'm still very excited to see where this goes. I do need to get up and like take a mental break or something. I'll probably grab an energy drink before I come back and do the practice. All right, I am back all of 5 minutes after I just said I was going to take a break. Obviously, if you guys want to do this, I highly recommend you spread it out over the course of 3 or 4 days. And you should do some sort of maintenance practice every so often as well. But the whole point of this challenge is that I'm a relatively experienced chess player, and I want to see if I can do it in 24 hours. So straight into the practice. Basically, it's just going to give me the board, and I'm going to play a move. It's going to play one of the moves that I have learned, and I will play into the line based off of what I remember. Obviously, I don't expect to get all of them right immediately. I hope I remember most of the stuff that I learned from the learning chapter of this process, but I won't kick myself too hard if I don't remember every single teeny tiny thing to a T. Like right there, I forgot that f3 was wrong. I don't remember why it's wrong. We want to play pawn to f3 here to win the knight, but before we do that, let's quickly simplify because there's probably ideas of taking on d4 and then dropping b5, so we simplify, and now I assume we play pawn to f3. Bishop c5 does see the bishop, but it's protected by the queen, so I assume we can just take. Nice, and with that, we complete the first practice line. I will see you guys after I have mastered all 59, and this could definitely take a while. Okay, I only have like 9 more lines left. I've already made my way through my second energy drink because this is really not how you're supposed to do it, but I am having a little bit of fun with this. It's exciting to think that I might be able to learn all of the Ruy Lopez in one day. So we're almost done with the practice. Let's keep this going. Okay, finally we have practiced every single line, so we've learned all of the different variations, we've practiced every single one to perfection, and now we have the option to do drills, time race the clock, play in the arena to gain elo against a bot, or do puzzles. And I think just to switch things up a little bit, I'm going to do some puzzles, which come directly from Ruy Lopez opening game. So here we have an immediate checkmate in 1, which is pretty cool. I'm going to do this up until maybe 1500. We've got a nice little fork. Free rook, thank you very much. We've got a fork where we grab the queen. We can remove the defending knight to grab the bishop on a5. Nice little check for the rook on b8. It's incredible how fresh I feel after doing so many repetitions of opening. We've got another mate on f6. There have to be, I was going to say queen f7, but that's defended by the knight, who happens to be free. And that's also checkmate. We get pawn takes back in this position. Seems like we can just take the queen and then fork the knight and the rook. Pawn threatens the knight on e5. We've got check on h5. We take that free pawn and grab the rook. We're already at 1400 just with that. This is the infamous position where you get knight to d5 mate. Love that checkmate. You get bishop takes h2. We're closing in on 1500. We have no choice but to take back. So I guess we just take back with the king, so the knight continues to defend the queen. Nice. Probably one more. We'll play that checking idea again and grab the rook. Okay, we're officially 1500. I really just did that to freshen up and do something else other than opening repetitions. So let's go back, and this time, let's do arena. Arena seems like fun. We play a ranked game against a bot, and we'll see how much of this opening theory we remember. So we'll play bishop to b5. We get knight to f6. Whenever I see knight to f6, I castle, and I've got a couple of cues sort of like that one. Whenever I see a certain move, I play a different move. We get takes back, I guess just rook to e1. We do get pawn to f5. I'm pretty sure we just take here on d4. Nice, the knight does take back, and then I think we just take back with the queen. I believe that's correct. We do get bishop to e7. It seems like that just drops g7, although f3 is also an amusing idea. Bishop c5, we sack the rook, but I'm pretty sure we can just take on g7. Nice, that was the best move. We get bishop to f6, a little bit of an uncomfortable position for the queen. And since it seems there's only one place for her to go, we'll slide her out to h6. We get pawn to c6, bishop d3 here makes a lot of sense, putting more pressure on the knight. Bishop c4 is interesting to grab a look at this diagonal, but that's probably just met with d5, making this knight more concrete. f3 is also an interesting idea. If the pawn takes, I take on e4, and that is a very weak position for this king. My only concern would be pawn to f3, queen to b6 check, bishop to e3. If the queen takes, I take the knight anyway, so I'm quite happy with that. We get bishop to g5, that seems to just be a free bishop. There are not enough defenders because this knight is pinned, and the game ends there. You are ahead after the opening, eval plus 8.5. Don't mind if I do. And that's generally how these arena games work. Let's do one more arena game. I feel like this is my own personal way of psyching myself up for playing an actual game. Also, don't mind my avatar. I have no idea why he's got pink long hair. Let's play knight to f3, bishop to b5, ooh, f6. So this is interesting. This was not in our theory, but I guess it's something I could encounter in the wild. We'll just develop normally. We do get knight to e7. I'll just castle out of the way, probably looking for d4 here in just a moment. g6 is also not terribly concrete. Oh, it gave us the star for that move, so that was definitely the best move. We get bishop to g7, and I'm trying to think of the key thematic ideas that we learned just now. It's a little bit difficult to apply to this specific pawn structure, but maybe we'll go ahead and just take. The idea was bishop to g5 if the pawn takes back, but we get knight takes back instead. I guess knight takes is fine. Bishop g5 is still an option. Oh, that was a dubious move. We're met with pawn to c6. I'll just move the bishop back. It looks pretty nice here on this diagonal. And we're closing here. You can see this bar. We're closing in on the end of this opening, so I would like to have an advantage by the end of this. Queen to d6 here seems very, very strong. Holds down that knight. There's no option to castle. Obviously, it's illegal anyways, but we put a lot more pressure on that position. So let's do that. Queen to d6. Says it's a good move. We get bishop back to f8. Queen to f6 here is really interesting. Sacking the bishop is always fun, but I'm not sure it's concrete here. So we'll play that. Queen to f6, threatening mate, threatening the rook on h8. That was the best move. And we are ahead after the opening, plus 6.8. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I think that will conclude our training. I'm pretty happy with that. It was very, very intense. I spent probably about 2.5 hours in total just sitting here practicing for it. But I think I've got some good ideas under my belt. Now, this will be a little bit dependent on what my opponent plays, because obviously my opponent could play like e4, c6, and all of a sudden there's no way for me to play the Ruy Lopez. But I am going to still head over to chess.com and let's see what we get. Oh, it's finally happened. Okay, let's go. Knight to f3. Please don't play some sideline or something crazy. Knight to c6. Yes. Bishop b5. This is what we trained for. Okay, it's happening. Yes, this is a line. Okay, now we just have to win. Knight here. We play d4 and then we castle. Okay, pawn takes. Now we castle and we're looking for e5. I can't believe this is happening. This is so exciting. I'm officially an e4 player. We get pawn to b5. Bishop back. I mean, there's no choice. And then bishop c5. e5 certainly is the move here. Knight to g4, we're still in theory, which is crazy. Pretty sure bishop d5 is the move here, because we pin the knight that's trying to attack e5 in coordination with the knight on g4, and we only have one defender. So we play bishop d5 to pin this knight. This is insane. I can't believe this is happening. And I believe the follow through here is like bishop b7, h3, knight goes back, and then like we trade it off. I think that's the move here. Rook moves over? That's definitely not a theory move. So we're officially out of book, but I think this is still a move that I want to play. The problem is now the knight takes. So you know what? I'm going to go, well, if I play rook to e1, there's d3 with this trappy idea. Okay, I didn't want to have to play this, but I'm going to play bishop to f4, which seems to also be a thematic idea. Eventually the bishop develops and defends the pawn on e5. Not in this variation, and definitely not in any variation with this many pieces on the board still. There's probably another move here, but since we are out of book, I'm just pulling from the themes that I've noticed across this opening so far. This rook usually wants to stay and defend f2 if possible, at least if this is set up. Eventually I want to play h3, but I can't do that until there's not two knights looking at e5 anymore. We get knight to e7. Let's move the bishop back to b3 with the idea that we're still looking at f7. Knight to g5 is still a possibility. Knight to g6 hits the bishop. We'll play bishop here. This is also a pretty thematic idea. Do we trade? Believe we do. Yeah, and I guess I should just take here on d4. Allow this recapture, play rook to e1. So we'll do that. At least we'll be even on material. And then there's got to be some ideas here of winning material. F4 doesn't work anymore because the knight covers that square, but it feels like there should be something. Our opponent does castle. I'm just going to develop for now. I mean, I'm sure there's some tactical idea that I've missed, maybe knight to f3 somehow, but I don't really feel like opening that Pandora's box at this moment. Plus, we're both down to a minute. Queen comes out. There's definitely some scary ideas of sacking here on f3. Play knight to e4 and we can just trade. I think I'm okay with that. Nice. That's pretty good for me, I'm pretty sure. Pawn to c5. Oh, and it traps the bishop. Oh, that's not good for me at all. Okay. How trappy can we play this? I don't think we can. We're going to have to bullet this out and see if we can just hold on for long enough. We'll play knight over. We'll take back. And obviously this is a worse position for me, but I think we're able to take the victory just on time control. Okay, that was a free knight. I think our opponent has crumbled under the pressure of the clock situation. Let's put pressure on d7. We will defend our own pawns. We just want to create weaknesses for the opponent and make them have to start defending stuff. Yeah, and eventually they usually start breaking down. Again, we are going to defend our own pieces. Just because we're creating counterplay doesn't mean we're going to play silly moves. Okay, king here covers these entry points. That's a good that's a good counter argument. Why not a fancy little sacrifice? King moves over. Our opponent is quite quick. Okay, we did offer a trade. Opponent turns it down. I guess we can just trade rooks. It's not really what I wanted, but it's okay. And our opponent flags. Nice. Not only that, but we get the award for playing the Spanish. You've played a game featuring the Ruy Lopez opening. Nice. With that, we do win our game. I do want to go into the game review because I know for a fact I played everything up through theory correctly. I'm just curious where I messed up. So this was all book. Book. So on the bright side, it definitely worked. I definitely learned my opening. The problem is this is my first time ever actually playing the opening in the wild. So obviously that takes a little bit of practice as well. We do get b5, which is a mistake. We play the best move. And right up until here, we're getting best move and best move. But in my book, basically, this is still theory. This is still stuff that I've prepared from the chess website. Bishop to d5 is still theory. We're playing the best moves because this is what we practiced. Oh, and rook to b8, the engine really quite likes. Bishop to f4 was wrong. Oh, okay, h3 was in fact what they wanted us to play, and I'm genuinely curious what the follow-up there was. Bishop goes back, and then we do have that idea of taking on h6. Okay, so I should have gone with my gut and just continued with the thematic idea that I know is part of this line, but I went a little bit rogue with this bishop to f4 move. Right here. So bishop to f4 was not the correct continuation. We played some decent moves after this. We still continued with the ideas, and eval bar so far is quite happy with us. We're at least even. Knight takes d4 wasn't quite right. We wanted to take with the queen, countering the knight, and that actually is an idea that I've gone over. Knight takes e5 was a blunder, and rook to e1 was a missed win. What was correct? Pawn to f4. Ah, I see. Pawn to f4. Now that the rook is here, it defends the pawn, and surely when the knight moves out of the way, I was going to say when the knight moves out of the way, you win the queen. But the engine's best line, of course, is not losing the queen, but rather castling out of the way before that happens. So surely if you move the knight out of the way, it's just rook to e1. Yes, rook to e1, knight comes back, and then you drop the pawn in the middle. Okay, with that, we do win our very first game ever playing the Ruy Lopez. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one.